Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, one half a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us.
Hell yeah.
They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second.
Yeah, buddy, it's Friday. I just heard, what's her name? Kim Kardashian was talking, remember a few months ago about how she's not materialistic anymore. The important things are her family now, and after she got robbed, she changed her outlook on life. She just bought a $300,000 watch that used to belong to Jackie O. I'm just saying, it's going to be harder than for her than she thinks it is to be the type of person that's non-materialistic, because you paint yourself in a corner for all those years, and now you have a new bar, you have a new you're zeroed out, and from there that's your norm. So to be without that, sometimes being rich could be a curse, because you're used to everything being perfect, everything's nice, drive a nice car, go to hotels, it's a nice hotel, it's not a motel. If you're going to go to Mexico, you take a first class plane and you stay at a resort, you don't drive there and deal with the stuff. So if you're not used to nice things, everything's a new experience, and it can be nice, but and now you need that just to be normal, super nice things, and it's hard to get nice things all the time. So yeah, in my opinion, it can definitely be a curse. But I thought that was funny, that right on the heels of her announcing that she's not materialistic, she goes out and gets a $300,000 watch. Funny. I guess the LAPD is in the news. The police cadets stole a bunch of equipment, took a bunch of cars, and then, of course, the guy in the equipment room, the LAPD, was having sex with a 15-year-old girl, underage cadet, and I'm thinking, I dealt with Charlie Beck in. I had a complaint against some. Actually, LAPD used to harass me. And anybody that thinks that a cop isn't going to use his status to benefit himself, you're wrong. And but part of benefiting themselves is, of course, they don't want to go to jail. They don't want to lose their pension. But a lot of this stuff goes under the radar until it hits a certain level. In other words, they'll get professional courtesy. They'll try to push stuff under the rug until it hits so yeah, at a certain point, it's beneficial to be a LAPD or a police officer in general. But once you pass that fulcrum point, now it'll work against you. And this guy that was, basically molesting a child at this point, now he's going to be on the other side of that coin, and now it'll work against them. They're going to make an example out of him. But my thing is, hey, Chief Beck, when a ship goes down, the captain is at fault. No matter what happens, you are the captain of that ship. And I think LAPD is at the point where you got the guy at the top is basically, you could tell he wants to be a politician or is acting like one. He's pleasing everybody. He's not tough on crime. You do the community policing and all this stuff. All it is the people that don't like to obey the law. It just gives them an excuse to get out of it. They can blame other people and other things. So I think Charlie Beck, if we could swap him out with the Dallas chief of police, I'd be happy. but no, you need to be when you're in law enforcement. Almost by definition, you need to be a little more conservative. And I'm not talking about politics like, oh yeah, you gotta listen to Rush Limbaugh. No, to conserve means to not change. And it starts with the homeless people on the street. Hey, your cops need to clean up. If people, because where there's homeless, you're gonna have drugs and everything, prostitution and everything else. You gotta start cleaning that up. And if the mayor is going to fire you over it, well, now you got a decision to make. You're sworn to uphold the law. You're not sworn to keep your pension. And if you are going to run for a chief of police in a real liberal city where you're going to be ineffective, well, you would at least need to kind of die trying. You need to say, look, Mayor, if you fire me because I'm cleaning up crime, I am going to be very loud, because I can get on talk shows and I could say that, this guy is so worried about his reelection that the city is losing its gravitas or whatever, and you have to be smart. As a mayor, you need to learn how to communicate and say, look, Mayor, if this city keeps on circling the drain, you're going to go with it. And whatever it is you got to do, you got to, if you're going to be a politician, that's the time to do it. So, I just don't like the fact that the city is going, down the hill, and the police chief just sits by, and even in his own industry, there's no checks and balances. You got this stuff going on, and the only reason we're even finding out about it is because these kids got in car accidents. If they didn't wreck the police cruisers, it probably would have kept on going on. And apparently, nobody's afraid of the guy at top for whatever reason. When I complained to him, I went to the what do you call it? The internal affairs, and they just kept on saying, "Well, what did our officer do in uniform? What did they do?" And I'm like, "Well, if they're going around in uniform doing stuff, why are you having everybody would know about it? Internal affairs. It's you're supposed to investigate, these people, because if you have bad people working for you, okay, so it's a little harder to prove because these are police officers. They cover their tracks, and these are the people that are supposed to be kind of against the cops. They're supposed to be at the very minimum neutral, but they're supposed to be devil's advocate. And these people were covering up for each other. There was. In my case, the person, it was my ex, was stalking me. She was calling, making up jobs and sending me to those jobs just so she could take pictures and all this other stuff, and harassing me, calling me like 100 times a day, texting me or 50 times, just one thing after another. And I'm like, stop, because she's getting other people involved too, because she was a cop, or is a cop at the time, was a cop too, and she's using that. You can't tell me that has nothing to do with why people will do things. Oh, a cop's telling me to do this. And so I had buckets and buckets of information, like, here, this person is abusing their position, and on a bunch of different levels, and he's like, no, not really. I'm like, what do you mean? If this person did this to you, you'd have them arrested that day for fraud, sending you somewhere just so they could try to get you to a place where you shouldn't have to be. It's just fraud, just so they could stalk you, so to speak. So anyway, so that didn't amount to anything. And even the judge, it's like the judge was going to get a restraining order, but he decided not to because she was a cop, and that would ruin her career, because then she couldn't carry a weapon. I'm like, well, up to this point, you're willing to do it, but now that you find out she's a cop, and it's like, well, of course, you're getting professional courtesy, and why wouldn't you? And because you got to see these people at the wash stall and rub elbows with them. So, why would you be make yourself uncomfortable when you don't have to? So yes, there is two Americas as far as that goes. But, the nice thing is I can be objective, because you'll hear me defend police officers more than probably anybody. That's not just so, far to the right where you're just useless to anybody because you can't form an opinion. All you're doing is reading your conservative talking points. So I think I have a healthy balance, and I work with a gentleman that's fairly liberal, and he's even convinced that I'm able to take information and decipher what is good out of the information. And we decided since I'm white, it can come across as, oh, you're a racist, but name calling, if you resort to that, it means you're out of facts, so I'm okay with being called a lot of different things, and when you have an opinion, you are going to get called a lot of different things, but I would rather be called different things than to have to be a man with no character and have no enemies. So that's fine with me. So anyway, you got these kids that are screwing off, and somebody's looking the other way for all that stuff to happen. It's one thing if it's just mischief, but we're talking about people that even say, okay, these are kind of cops or cadets, so we're going to look the other way. The cop that's letting these people and dating these girls, people are just looking the other way. I guarantee you, this is not a surprise to a lot of people there. So I just, I think what you have to do is you have to get rid of the chief, and then the new chief comes in, and what he's going to do, hopefully, is err on the side of caution and be like, all right, I'm going to tell my captains, if any of this crap goes on, my captains are gone. So these captains are going to be like, all right, sergeants, any of this stuff goes on, you guys are gone. And then the sergeants are going to be like, all right, any of this stuff, if I hear about it, you guys are gone. It's just chain of command. If you don't do that, if people aren't afraid of you at the top, then, and you're just covering up for whatever reason, because you want political aspirations later, you don't want anybody to rock the boat, and you're only going to react after you get busted, after your guys wreck the cars that they just finished stealing. And let's face it, we just had the sheriff of L.A., Lee Baca, he's going to jail. And you got Sheriff Corona before that in Orange County, the neighboring county. He's in jail. And I'm sorry, but, it's absolute power corrupts absolutely. And there may be stuff that we don't know about that's going on. But, if somebody has to send a message and, you either got to get, if you're going to get fired for being tough on crime and the mayor doesn't like you. That's to me, that's the only way to go. And then some other police station will pick you up, but if you're just going to sit around and let your own police department they just escaped a consent decree for being I think it was too rough or whatever. And this was, I don't know if this is under Bill Gates, but the thing of it is nobody looks at it like as being horribly bad, because they figure, oh, they were hard on crime, so if you're gonna be on one side of the fence or the other, I'd rather you be a little more unruly to thugs and gang members. And let's face it, the people in these communities weren't the ones complaining. It was always these city leaders that were complaining about how abusive the cops are, because they're in a nice part of Hancock Park, where you are not going to find homeless people, you're not going to find gangs it's just a different world, because that's over policed, and it's patrolled probably 4 times more than any other street. So it's easy for them to say, oh yeah, police, back off, in these neighborhoods where believe me, these ladies that are there by themselves, they don't have security, they don't have work security detail or gates, cameras. They want the cops there to patrol. So when you pull the cops out of these cities, especially the FBI, they say, oh, turn it down, you're being too mean. Those are the people that suffer. Of course, there has to be checks and balances, but I think as it